Before Phil Knight built Nike into one of the most valuable brands in the world, before billions of dollars in annual sales, before Nike became a global symbol of excellence, Phil Knight was just a young accountant with a crazy idea. And here's what makes his story fascinating. Phil wasn't born into a shoe business. He didn't inherit a shoe company. He didn't have millions of dollars. He simply believed there had to be a better running shoe. After earning his MBA at Stanford, Phil wrote a paper suggesting that high-quality athletic shoes could be manufactured in Japan and compete with the expensive German brands dominating the market at the time. It wasn't just a class assignment, it became his vision. He traveled to Japan, met with executives at Onitsuka Tiger, and convinced them to let him distribute their running shoes in the United States. There was just one problem. He didn't actually have a company. He hadn't sold a single pair of shoes. He was building the business as he went. Back home, Phil worked as an accountant during the day to pay his bills. Then on weekends and evenings, he drove to track meets with boxes of running shoes packed in the trunk of his car. Imagine that, one of the greatest brands in history selling shoes from the trunk of their car. Not a fancy showroom, not a corporate office, just a man with a dream willing to do whatever it took. Then Phil partnered with his former track coach, Bill Bowerman. Bowerman wasn't just coaching runners. He was constantly experimenting with better shoe designs. Together they believed they could build something bigger. And that's where the story takes a turn. As the business grew, Nike faced financial pressure, legal battles, manufacturing problems, and fierce competition. More than once, the company came dangerously close to running out of money. Yet Phil Knight kept moving forward. Eventually, Nike introduced its own new line of shoes, the famous swoosh logo, which was created by a college student for just $35. Then came breakthrough after breakthrough, endorsement deals, Olympic athletes, world champions, and eventually Michael Jordan. The Air Jordan partnership transformed not only Nike, but the entire athletic footwear industry. Here's what people often miss. The breakthrough wasn't Air Jordan. The breakthrough happened years earlier when Phil Knight was willing to sell shoes from the trunk of his car. As Phil Knight once said, "The cowards never started, and the weak died along the way." That leaves us. So what's the lesson? Great dreams rarely begin with glamorous places. Sometimes they begin in a garage. Sometimes they begin in a spare room. Sometimes they begin in the trunk of a car. Don't wait for the perfect conditions. Start with what you have now. The greatest opportunity may begin much smaller than you ever imagined. Don't quit in the middle of your story. But here's another part of Phil Knight's story that many people don't even know. For years, Nike wasn't the giant company we know today. Cash flow was constantly tight. Phil often worried about making payroll. Banks questioned the business. Competitors were larger and more established. Even after Nike became successful, Phil Knight remained obsessed with improving products. Innovation became part of the company's DNA. New materials, new designs, new technology, new ideas. He understood that yesterday's success could never guarantee tomorrow's success. One of Nike's greatest strengths wasn't simply making shoes, it was constantly reinventing them. Phil Knight also built relationships with coaches and athletes. Instead of simply trying to sell products, he listened, he learned, and he improved. That mindset helped transform Nike into one of the most recognizable brands on earth. As Phil Knight wrote, "Play by the rules, but be ferocious." Success isn't just about working hard. It's about continuing to learn after you've already become successful. Stay curious, stay humble, stay willing to improve. Before Nike, before the swoosh, before Air Jordan, Phil Knight was selling running shoes out of the trunk of his car. Most people would have been embarrassed. Phil Knight was grateful because he understood something many people never do. Small beginnings are still beginnings. As Phil Knight said, have faith in yourself, also have faith in faith. You don't need the biggest office. You don't need perfect equipment. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You simply need to keep moving forward. One customer, one opportunity, one step at a time, because today's small beginning may become tomorrow's worldwide success. Don't despise small beginnings. They often become extraordinary endings. Give us a like, subscribe to Accomplished Coach, and win. And remember, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.